Okay, so this is the full interview with based beauty Emma Dunwell from the anti-slave card protest outside the BBC on the 13th of December. Emma's really articulate and was a speaker at the event. Unfortunately, I didn't manage to catch her speech, but I did accost her for an interview before the march. Here's the unedited version. Link to the full protest coverage in the word cave below.
Okay, so could you just tell us who you are and what you're doing here today?
So my name's Emma Dunwell. I'm an independent journalist. I usually cover these types of events, but today I've been asked to speak. Really nervous, but also really excited. I've never spoken publicly before. I'm hoping to tell people maybe a couple of things that they didn't know, specifically when it comes to things like the ECHR. We've all been tricked into almost, but not quite, almost handing away all of the rights that we hold dear. So I'm really hoping that we have a decent turnout, and by the looks of things so far, we're going to have a really, really good crowd. And really looking forward to it.
Why was the BBC chosen as a place to protest today?
Well, because the BBC is what I would call the home of indoctrination and misinformation and propaganda. I mean, look, right there we have the Eric Gill statue. Right, that was a statue made by a paedophile, and it has been destroyed and vandalized so many times. And the BBC keep paying, and of course that's taxpayer money, is that tax funded, to rebuild it. We don't want this statue. They don't listen. So what does that say about the national broadcaster, about how they listen to their audience?
Okay, and why is digital ID a bad thing? For the average person might think, oh, that's really convenient, but why is it a bad thing?
Well, because digital ID is the next step between what we have now and a social credit system. Digital ID is that mid outlier, and we've already seen it around the country. I don't want to go into it too much because obviously I'll be speaking about this later, but we've already seen this kind of thing in use with the Canada's trucker protest 2022. We already have the OneGov login that no one asked for, that is now mandatory for all universal credit claimants. We have so many things that they can already just turn off at a push of a button, and this is just, if we allowed them to carry on with digital ID, we'd be giving them just a bigger button with more reach.
Digital ID is being implemented in many countries throughout the world at the same time. Who do you think is behind this? Do you think it's a coincidence, or do you think that there is some higher authority that's running this agenda?
Of course there's a higher authority. I mean, I wouldn't say higher authorities, because at the end of the day it all comes from the same pulpit, if you're asking me, but it all comes from the globalist organisations, WHO, the WEF. People want to label, Keir Starmer and Tony Blair as the pushers of this, and they are pushers of this, but they're just puppets. They're not the masterminds behind this whole thing. And while we're all arguing left versus right, no one's looking up, and that's where we need to be looking. Who are the people that are going to be mostly benefiting from this? The big tech companies. That's where we need to be looking.
The WEF and the WHO are big, recognisable names. So you don't think there's any behind-the-scenes, not known entity, person or organisation controlling them?
Yes. Oh, yeah. No, absolutely. I mean, these are the people that people know. But it's like, if I was to think of specific names, I think of people like Klaus Schwab. But then I'm sure that someone who's really, really, really running things, we won't know their name, we won't know their face, we will have absolutely no idea of their existence, and that's the way that they want to keep it.
And what do you think are the person or persons or secret organisations that are really behind this? What do you think are their motivations for doing it? Why are they doing it? Are they just like psychopaths? Do they want to control everything? What's their real underlying motivation?
Well, I mean, they are psychopaths. They do want to control everything. They're Satanists. I do truly believe that all these, groups of elites that everyone talks about all the time, I think they're Satanists. I think they're Luciferians. I'm a Christian. I think a lot of it comes down to they're trying to desecrate us from God as much as possible. They're trying to bring about end times and what they think would be the end times. I mean, they're messing around with so much stuff. I mean, you look at CERN with the super collider, and now they're saying that they've made the God particle. It's all very, very blasphemous and demonic. And all of the things that we're seeing on a ground level with trans ideology, with COVID jabs, with all of these things, if you follow it, it all eventually goes into these things that we hear about, the 17 sustainable goals. Like they say, that's, eradicate all poverty. Well, that sounds lovely, but what they actually mean is they're just going to make everyone equally poor. So it's all coming from the same place.
Great. And last question, what is the main message you would like people to take away from today? Like, what do you want them to go away thinking or wanting to action?
Really be strong in your stance of non-compliance. It is really only going to work, and I can't stress this enough, it's only going to work if we all do it. If it's just 500,000 people, 10,000 people doing it, then they're still going to be able to push this out to the mass public, right? But if it's all of us doing it, then we have to make the system so inconvenient for them to use that they physically can't do it. It's not a left and right issue, it's not a racial issue, it's not a religious issue. We can leave all that shit behind. This is going to affect us all equally, and this needs to be the thing that brings us all together.
That's great. Thank you very much.
Thanks so much.